It's a nonsense. This ship has sailed. Harry Maguire's north of 30 now. He has run his race for England.
Trent Alexander-Arnold wore the number 10 shirt for England, and it was all about him, Luke Moore. He had an eye-catching performance. He got a lovely goal, and he seemed to be among everything that England did well.
Yeah, he was sensational. I think there's two ways of looking at it. One is you can be unkind and say he's playing against really a bunch of part-timers and he should have to run on the field against a Malta. Or you can say, great run-up at it, great rehearsal. He's shown that he could have easily got bogged down in an unfamiliar position and not really had an effect on the game, when in fact he was man of the match, and it could be a sign of greater things to come. I'd much rather think of it that way because it's a much more positive, interesting way of thinking about it. I think England acquitted themselves well. They weren't up against much. But they changed around a few players because of the as we've talked about, the impact of the length of the season and all that kind of stuff. No one did anything wrong. It was a good day at the office, and I think that's pretty much the end of it, really.
Yeah, Tony Cascarino, Andy, said that
that's not the end of it because we've got to talk about Tony Cascarino. Sorry,
he said that
Irishman Tony Cascarino.
He said you look at Trent and you know he can deliver for England. Trent has qualities that are not far off Lionel Messi.
Interesting.
Very, very high praise indeed.
Would have said he was more a passer than a dribbler myself. But
okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, the question would be, would Trent Alexander-Arnold be a wise choice for that midfield role against better opposition?
Proper opposition.
That's really the question.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, and you're never going to know until you try it.
Exactly.
I mean, it had... I think if you do it in a bigger game, it's got shades of Letizia against Italy at Wembley. That's the only problem, isn't it?
Oof.
Now you're going back.
Bloody hell,
Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you look
I mean, he's happy at the mention, isn't he?
Alexander-Arnold's had the jabs, hasn't he?
that we know of. What England, I would imagine, would want. I mean, the home game against Italy is a little bit of a ways off. But if England get themselves into a position where they actually can maybe try Alexander-Arnold out in that game.
Yeah.
They could do. The way that, obviously that victory in Italy was big, and it's the top two that go through. So you see, and you want to finish top, of course, for seeding and all that kind of stuff. But you want to play him in a game to see, and obviously one game is not going to define it all. But with England at the moment, there's only a few places really up for grabs, you would say. In that midfield, it will be Declan Rice, it will be Jude Bellingham, and one other. And that's the question there. The back four, it will be Luke Shaw left back, Kyle Walker right back, John Stones, and probably at the moment Harry Maguire.
Which is
still
bullshit.
There.
Which is absolute fucking nonsense.
Fine. So you might say there's one.
I can't see if I'm going to be critical about it. Sorry to derail what you're saying, but if I'm going to be critical about it, there's absolutely no justification for playing Harry Maguire in that game.
So Mark Gay, he is involved in the squad. Would you prefer him? Or
That's the only reason I can think of that Maguire's getting a start there, because he thinks
guy through the younger player.
Yeah. But other than that, if you are using a game against Malta in it, let's be honest, a perfectly easy qualifiable European Championship group because of the extended nature of the competition now, and they're going to go through, particularly after the result against Italy, which you've talked about, Marcus. If you're going to do something like bleed Alexander-Arnold, Alexander-Arnold into midfield and try things out, why are you not doing that with another centre back?
Well, Mark Gay did start the game.
No, he did. That's what I'm saying. The only justification is that Maguire, he wants Maguire in there to guide him through it. But if you need Harry Maguire at this stage in his career to guide you through a game against Malta, you probably shouldn't be there in the first place. And Maguire is someone who's missing out at Man United to Luke Shaw, who's being played at centre back ahead of him, and he's not even a centre back. And Luke Shaw's playing left back next to him for England. It's a nonsense. This ship has sailed. Harry Maguire's north of 30 now. He's going to be out on his ear at Man United. He can't get in that team. There's no disgrace in that. Man United are a good team. He has run his race for England. He's got over 50 caps. He had a good England career. I know there was a time when he was reliable for England and he was a big part of the team. And I know Southgate wants to be loyal, and that's engendered partly a big happy feeling around the whole England squad and among England fans. But you have to take the opportunity to blood new defensive players in when you've got the opportunity to do so.
Especially in games like this.
And I just thought it was a wasted cap. It was a wasted cap. We're learning nothing about it. He's not getting anything out of it other than just playing 90 minutes because he's only started, 8 Premier League games last season. It's stupid. It's the only negative you can put on that game.
In terms of starting and barring injuries and all the rest of it, so one midfield, one a centre-half place, and you would say one position up front, probably on the left wing. I think Saka's got the right wing down, Harry Kane's through the centre. Interestingly, looking at a lot of journalists who their starting 11s would be in that Euros game, they actually, pretty much everybody went for Marcus Rashford over Jack Grealish. presumably they think Grealish will have sobered up by the Euro. but what do you think about that, Andy? I mean, both have had fine seasons. I mean, Grealish obviously won a few more trophies, and both offer very different options.
I think the interesting thing over the last season is Grealish has developed under Guardiola into more the sort of player that Southgate would start in a big match.
That's what I think.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going into this game and, imagine it's November, Rashford starts for the goals because he's more likely to get you a goal. But everything that Grealish has learnt to do off the ball, the way he's learnt to hold that touchline, Guardiola has done a massive solid for Southgate.
I think it's different challenges for different opposition. I think you've got two great options there.
Yeah.
And you can cut your cloth accordingly. On the centre-back thing, just because it took Andy's point for me to think about an answer and a response.
You want to go back to that again?
Yeah. What about the season Tyrone Mings has had? What about the performances he's put in?
Yeah, well, Mings is in the squad. He came on.
Yeah, and obviously Lewis Dunk has had a great season, but had to
unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think maybe you could argue that Maguire's getting in there ahead of Dunk because of that. But there's no justification for playing ahead of Tyrone Mings. It's fucking ridiculous.
Okay, but with the point of the forwards though is that it is a case of different opposition. We saw that in the World Cup. When they played against Wales, for example, he started Rashford to aplomb and he'd go for it. We always think though when we think, well, who's your starting 11? We think about against an opposition which is nearly equal or better than England. And you think, okay, what are we kind of trying to work out there? I mean, nice to see James Maddison start on against Malta. It is only Malta, but I think Maddison is a player who now is thinking to himself, you know what, I could be one of those players in the squad coming off the bench, because those wide positions, we know there's a lot of fierce competition there. He would probably say if I was Maddison, I'd be saying to Southgate, I tell you what, didn't Phil Foden play really well when he came on in the centre for Man City? Didn't he in the Champions League final? Oh, competition for Trent, eh?
I like the fact that I like the idea that flying back from Malta into Heathrow or whatever, James Maddison is taking the widest berth possible around North London to get back to Leicester because he is not fucking signed for Spurs. I'll go straight to Newcastle, thanks very much. He needs to sort out a move. That's what he needs to do.
He really does.
It's a really competitive part of the pitch for England, and he can't be playing respectfully to Leicester because I think they're great, and I'm sad that they were relegated. Actually,
you think they're great?
I do. I think they're a great team, and I think they've given us so many great memories in recent years in the Premier League. It's sad they're no longer a part of it.
Yeah.
But Maddison needs to think of his own career. He cannot be at a championship club in the summer. In September.
He won't be. He won't.
No, he won't.
It'll be very surprising if
unless he signs for Spurs, and he will be next summer.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you for watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an upload. A single upload. Don't miss out on the uploads. The uploads are important.